Ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome today on a very interesting discussions out of different reasons. First of all, my partner in these talks is Pishtar Lutfiu. I know him for a very long time. He's one of the leading persons in Northern Macedonia out of the younger generation. I met him on different opportunities. First of all, I think he was participant at the European Forum Alpbach. That's one connection to Austria here, and for sure to Europe. The other one is that he was in politics also in one of the Albanian party. It's a leading Albanian party, DUI, here. He was Minister for Education, which is for sure very important, especially in countries like North Macedonia looking to the future. He's also very interested how the things are moving forward. He has a brother who is working in Vienna, additionally. Also, it has to be mentioned. And he's somebody who has his own opinion. And so far, I think it is very interesting to talk about North Macedonia. As an introduction, I may say, it is a country not too big, 2 million inhabitants, I think, as far as I know. But on the other side, I think it is for a very long time a subject of discussions. I think this part was a partial republic of Tito's Yugoslavia. And then on, by the downfall of Yugoslavia, it became independent. And I think this created even more difficulties for this part of former Yugoslavia by this, because there were some interests by neighbors. Sometimes the Bulgarians are considering that this part has been a part of Bulgaria in the past. There were the difficulties with the Greeks saying, you cannot have the name of Macedonia because Macedonia is really Greek, and so on and so on. So far, you have to change the name. It's also the question of the language. It is a language which is quite close to the Bulgarian language. It is a Slavic language, and so on and so on. I think only 2 million inhabitants, but a lot of problems in this context, for sure, economic, social problems, and so on, which is quite natural. I think North Macedonia, and I was very much connected with this, was a subject of a lot of negotiations and agreements. We had the Ohrid Agreement and other agreements, how to go on, and so on and so on. And I'm quite happy, and now I'm coming to an end. Now the state name with North Macedonia is fixed. Hopefully it is kept. I think the relations to Greece in the neighborhood are quite okay. But I think how North Macedonia is developing is very important for the general behavior of Southeast Europe, or if you want to say of the Balkans in this context. Pishtar Lutfiu is for a long time also in politics. Is very much interested, is involved in the discussions. So far we might have a nice talk about this situation. But usually in time of Corona, the first question is always, how is North Macedonia in COVID-19? Please tell us something about the situation.
Hello, Dr. Busek. It's always a pleasure to talk with you and cooperate with the IDM. Well, as you know now, with Corona, life it's not the same anymore. From the beginning of the year of the 2020, let's say in the February and March, when the virus was presented in our country, the life of the citizens have changed. I will make a short chronology of the situation. Well, we had the first cases discovered in the city of Deba, which I'm coming from. It was a family who came back from Italy, and from then the fear began, and people began to be more careful in contacts with the others. After some cases in that city, the government decided to isolate the city, and as well to ask the president to declare a state of emergency. From that moment, the state of emergency was declared, so the city was isolated for 30 days. Also, in other cities, the police hours started. Slowly, the border were closed because of the virus. Started to split it out in the other cities, and following the practice of other country and the requirements of the World Health Organization, the Ministry of Health uh, formed a commission to monitor the situation of the virus and make recommendation to the citizens with special protocols that citizens should follow. So the citizens were obliged to comply this recommendation, although this severely affected the psychological health, since we are used to being free and going with dinner with our family or going outside the country in the weekends or evening for traveling. This was not possible anymore, and this caused a lot of nervous among the citizens. According to the government, they took very serious and drastic measures. Some of them, such as the implosion of the state of emergency and restriction of the movement, there they were the result of difficult but uh, must be this kind of decision. The measures, according to the government, showed results. In my opinion, until the beginning of the June, they showed some results. A large number of our citizens didn't go to work. They closed all the kindergartens, uh, high schools, elementary schools, universities. So they were all closed, and some uh, business, let's say, large number of small and medium enterprises were off. According to the government warning, so the border should be opened of the 1st of June. But this didn't happen. According to the government, in coordination with the neighbors countries, they were taught that in the 15th of June must be opened at all the borders. Because in the last 10 days we have a very critical situation. It has been many cases in infection in Macedonia. If before 10 days we had 20 to 30 cases, now we have the last days every day more than 100 cases per day, infected people. And this is very worrying situation. And this is like second peak of the virus, let's say. There are several arguments as why this non-comfortable situation is happening, let's say. In the obvious that people have lost their passions because they have lost their jobs, or especially in the private sector. The second is whether some people still do not believe that the virus is real and do not respect government measures. And the third is on my opinion, the third is religious mentality, where unfortunately the Orthodox Church had a religious organization in the city of Struga, where thousands attended this meeting, and this causes nervous to the Muslim community, who decided immediately after that to open the mosque. All these religions uh, uh, stuff has been closed by an agreement with the agreement to not split the virus. But when this happened, now, for example, today when we are speaking, according to the Ministry of Health, we have 2,030 uh, uh, 2,331 active cases, and we have, for the moment, 201 deaths, which is a large number according the cases in the region. Let's take in consideration Albania, Serbia, or Kosovo. So this more or less is the situation in Macedonia, but people still are waiting for the borders to open because we have people who are still outside the country, and of course they want to be back in the country as soon as possible. Dr. Busek?
Yes.
More or less, this is the situation in Macedonia.
An additional question, I think the discussion in Austria and also in other European countries was, do we have a sufficient hospital system? And I think to preserve all the radical situations and so on and so on. How was the situation here in Macedonia?
Well, as you know, the virus showed up that we don't have very good healthy system. According to the neighborhoods, we have very large number of deaths. For example, the hospitals, they are not in good conditions. But I think that the doctors have done maximums to escape this situation, to not have more deaths, let's say. One of the government which take measures, the economic measures, which was determined by the government meetings, provide financial support as well for the legal entities from the private sector affected by the health economic crisis caused by the COVID-19 virus. The subject of the financial support is the payment of the salaries to the employers by the employer, which applicants for financial support for the months of the April, May, and June now. They changed some decision. We had a lot of problems, and we were, let's say, praying to not be infected and to go in the hospital, because God knows what would happen there. And the other side, government taking some economic measures for the citizens of the country. One of the measures which I will read it are for all sports workers, let's say employed in sports association, the government will provide a minimum payment of 250 euros for these months that we are in Corona. For all the citizens who has lost their jobs to the crisis, the state will pay a monthly compensation of 50% of the employment's average. For those who were unemployed, a part of the informal economy, the government will offer quick access to the social protection system for April, May, and June. So they will receive an average of, let's say, 100 and something euros per family. So more or less, these are the measures in economic which the government will as well pay for them. In the past days, the Ministry of Economy has done some. They will give some vouchers with money for the citizens which have a low income, and they can use this voucher for the local tourism or the local products. This, if you see these days, caused a lot of people were running to the banks, and it's a lot of people that's waiting for the bank and getting nervous to take this voucher. But I hope that these banks will solve as soon as possible.
I think this is a situation which is similar in all the countries. We have here a tough discussion, when does the money arrive as compensation and so on and so on.
Yes.
For sure, that's quite clear. I want to raise another question, which is also connected with the coronavirus. I think, as far as I can see in Austria, a certain kind of solidarity within the society was raising up.
Yeah.
I think this is a good sign, because to help the other as a basic of the society was increasing. Do you have the same development in Macedonia?
The government opened one donation account, which all the citizens can donate as much as they want. Some of the politicians donated their salary, 90% of the salary. Those who are in the ministry or in the government will donate. There was stuff like that to donate their salary and to help the corona virus situation. So as well, the citizens were able to join this movement of donation. As well, the solidarity of the people, for example, the people who lost their job. So immediately there were some businessmen who showed up, who opened the heart to immediately took people in their company only to help to pass this situation. But these are, according to Austria, these are, let's say, some small gaps which Macedonia has a capacity to close it up, because here we have a lot of, let's say, educational and economic problems.
Do you think that this development of more assistance and so on, as you have mentioned, will be a sustainable development, or do you think it will be forgotten if the virus, the challenge of the virus is ended?
We were happy that in the beginning of the June, we had very small numbers, for example, 20 to 13 cases per day. But now it's a very, let's say, not very dangerous, but critical situation when we have more than 100 people infected per day. So we are going back to zero again. When we were preparing to open the border and to start going normally to work in the office, now the people have afraid to go in work, because the virus is split very quickly. This means that we have to learn to live with the virus. We have to learn to live with the virus, and let's say in Macedonia we have not very good political conditions, because now I will explain on the later for the election that will be in July.
Okay, thank you very much. And I think in the context of this, what you have said, it's quite clear to raise the question, how is the economic situation, and which impact might have the coronavirus situation on the economic development of Macedonia, which is a key question for the future of the country. If you can describe a little bit what's going on, are now better relations to Greece? As far as I know, Greek companies are a huge percentage of the business in Macedonia. How it is developing?
Well, for this kind of virus COVID situation, we have a very big economic problems. Let's say uh, because we are a small country with tradition of weddings, I will start from here. A lot of immigrants and from diaspora are coming back to our country in summertime. So this raised the budget, and this for the private company and for the state, they are benefiting a lot from the migrants for the from the diaspora, let's say. They are coming here and they're spending a lot of money. Now we don't have this. For example, it is a lot of business that fall down. We don't. It's not allowed to have a wedding with more than 100 people. This causes a lot of other business. Let's say a restaurant cannot work, and the old things which uh, uh, people are prepared for weddings, they are not coming here. As well with the neighbors, it's now when we were expected to prepare and to go in Greece and Greece to come here or entire region, everything is blocked for the moment. When we were prepared 1st of June to start to open the border, now everybody closed it up and being in reserve with North Macedonia. Albania and Kosovo open at the border. Greece, I guess, will open very soon, but this caused very damage and very damage to the economic development. I think that uh, we will need more than 1 year to recover this damage, especially to the private sector, because this is more damaged than all the sectors.
You were speaking about the role of remittances from those of your citizens working outside.
Yeah.
As far as I know, between 600,000 and 1 million Albanians are working in Greece, in northern Greece especially. Is this still the situation, and what will be the impact for them?
The Albanians, yes, they are working in Greece, but from Macedonia, we have a very big diaspora which is living outside Macedonia, working there. This is very sadly moment when they cannot back here in Macedonia. I have a case that I have a friend which for the moment is in Germany, and he's passing 3 months there, and he still cannot be back here. This is very sad moment. So I think that as soon as possible, the government will find a way to open the borders and to bring the citizens who are blocked in the European country as well in the region as soon as possible, and will better be for us. I think that they have to find a way to learn and to live with the virus, because this will be a very long time. I don't think that the virus will be ended in September, or I don't know, the end of the year. No, I think that we should live with it and we will learn from it. Now in this kind of situation, I hope that because of the election next week, will be open at the border, so the people can start doing business, and they can start come back in their hometown for vacation, for summer vacation.
I think this is a very important remark you did concerning the role of the virus. I think we have to live with the virus for a long time. I think it's not looking like that we are finding definite solution to end it.
Yeah.
Maybe nobody knows in which direction is it developing.
Yeah.
And so far it's very important to develop European and global systems also to handle it, because for the normal business life and social life, I think it will have a great importance so far. I think, are there any considerations by the government what to prevent, or in which direction is it going? And is there enough international assistance existing on this subject?
I think that these days they will sit again and they will find a solution to end this strict measures for the citizens, because people getting nervous and cannot handle it this anymore. I will focus a little bit in the measure in the education in our country, which from the beginning of the pandemic, first thing which the government decided is to close all the schools, universities, kindergarten, and so on. So we started one process which, in my opinion, we were not prepared. We started to find a way how to compensate this situation, because children cannot go in the school. And now we have to find the online platform in schools and universities. But in my opinion, we were not prepared in this kind of situation, because I will take an example in rural places. Not all the houses, not all the children have conditions with computer or internet. Not all have access to the internet. So this causes a little bit of problems. But in the other side, in the urban places, uh, the education system were normally going on. They were taking classes online with their teachers and with the professors in the university. And I think that digitalization now in education in our country is not anymore a need, but it's more than a need. It's not a trend anymore, because we were following the development country, and we were saying, wow, uh, how they work with online platforms. But now we see the lack, that we are not so well prepared for this kind of situation. So digitalization in education system in Macedonia is more than a need. Uh, the government of North Macedonia, on the proposal of the Ministry of Education and Science, approved the decrees from the package of measures for education, from the package of the economy measures. So I will read some of the package which the Ministry of Education proposed, which is some vouchers amount with 100 euros at a time to be distributed to high school students who belong to low-income families, and these funds will be used only to cover participation in university studies and accommodation in students' dormitories, students and those who are privately accommodated. As well, they have a local payment card with a lot of with money with 50 euros, which is dedicated to students who can be used only for purchase of local products and service in targeting activities as services that have been affected by the crisis. As well, they had voucher in amount with 500 euros, which is dedicated to young people up to age of 29 for the co-financing and IT trainings and courses and digital skills, which might be very necessary and required for several years, because now the position of these skills are basic conditions for finding a job, enlargement, and any activities of the segment of the social life.
I think you are totally right. That's coming out of your experience as Minister of Education, but it is a general experience. I think we have to adapt our education system on such challenges as we have had. because it's not only a question of equipment concerning computer and so on and so on. I think it's also a question how we are doing this, and it might change the whole system that we can keep the level, or we have even to develop the level of our education concerning this situation. I think here we have to study and we have to exchange our experiences through whole Europe or maybe over the world, that we are able to cope with this situation. But Pishtar, I think it's the right moment to move also in the direction, but the perspective of the future. First of all, what are the most challenging questions for the future of North Macedonia? I think you shall describe it a little bit for our European audience, and also some remarks on the political situation, because you have already mentioned that you will have elections. Elections are always of great importance for Southeast Europe, because it's mainly created by changing situations. I think no parliament is serving for the whole term for which they are elected. There are always earlier elections, but not only in your country, it happened also in Austria.
Yes. I will start with the political situation in our country. From 3rd January, we have a technical government according to the agreement which was done at the last meeting with the leaders, and they agreed that we will go in election in 12th of April. So all the political parties were prepared to doing some pre-campaign activities during the period of January and February and the beginning of the March. And when the emergency situation was signed from the president because of the pandemic, all the activities were stopped. We have a very strange situation. In one side, we have parliament, which is down. And in the other side, we have a technical government, which has the power to bring decisions which have the force of the law because of the emergency situation. And this situation we are facing for the first time. So the leaders have some other meetings which they decided to postpone the election because of the pandemic. And all the time, the biggest political party like SDSM were pushing the other parties that we have to go to the election with the argument that the state must be prepared with a completed institution in September and can face with the pandemic more prepared. According to the World Health Organization, we will have a second peak in autumn. On the other hand, the opposition, Romero, who was against election in this time, arguing that we cannot risk the people's life in this time. The Albanian party, they were okay. Let's sit together and let's agree for one new Dayton. The opposition was against, the SDSM was quickly elections. So finally they decided last day in the meeting, they had an agreement. So the possible date for election will be finally on the 15th of July. Of course, the elections, this kind of election on the 15th of July will have a special protocol measures to protect citizens' life, as well for those who are infected, they can vote one day early before the election. So they had made a special protocols for the election. One news that the Albanian party DUI is promoting, that is the idea. It's time now to to make the Prime Minister of North Macedonia, that will be Albania. So this idea now causes a lot of reaction from the political party, even from the SDSM, even from VMRO, even from the other Albanian party. But it is very interesting idea, and let's see until the end of the election how we will do the campaign. As well, we have to prepare now for the digital campaign because it's not allowed to have meetings with a lot of people. So this is will be new for all the political parties. And of course, I have to mention that during the pandemic as well, we had some good news that we have became the 13th member of the NATO. So we are very, very happy that we are now part of the NATO family. And of course, we after the election, the states will be focused on the European integration and a part of the European family.
I think this is a very interesting point because looking to Southeast Europe or the Balkans, I think the possibility that the Prime Minister, the leader of the government, might come out of a minority group, I think this is very interesting. And it would be a very impressive sign of democracy because it's not a question the Prime Minister out of the majority party or which group of the population. I think he needs a majority in the parliament for sure.
Yes.
And I think by the law of the parliament, how it is working, if he has a majority, it is okay. And it is not a question, is he from this part of the population or from another part of the population? I think it's a question of the quality and how they will to govern here. That might be an interesting example, and I think a specific development for Northern Macedonia especially, because I think here I may say, seen from outside, and I was involved for a very long time, I think the handling of the minority question in Macedonia was quite better always as in some other countries where we have minorities. Maybe the reason might be that the number of Albanians are between, I think, 25 and 30%, as far as I know. I don't know what the actual figures are in this direction. So far, it is a very important part of the population, yes. For sure. Let's see what's going on, because I think that's a very good sign for the common future here within Europe. You did not answer my question, how are the relations to the Greeks now? Because that has some importance.
Yes, the relation with the Greeks now, they have changed. They have changed in good ways, let's say. Before, when we go into the borders, I will take an example. They don't even look at your eyes. They just took papers and you go. But now it's not that kind of situation. I think that the people realize that we are going in Greece and we are spending money and spending money there, going to vacation or for shopping. After the Prestwell agreement, after these positive pictures with our government in Greece on that time, I think that the relation between both of the country has changed for good, and I'm very happy for that. And because at the end of the end, so we have done what the Greece asked for. We have changed the constitution, we have changed the name, and I think that the Greece part is now happy that we have done what they asked for. So there is no something that we have to fight for. But in the other hand, now we have to find a solution as well with the Bulgaria. There are some commissions which we are working for the language and for the history, and I hope that definitely will find the same language and they can pass all the problems, and definitely in the very short term will be part of the European Union. As we started, I mean, we take that on to start negotiation with European Union, and I think that this is something unstoppable for us because we belong to Europe, we belong to European Union. Now we are part of the NATO, and I think that the perspective of Macedonia is only in the European Union. And we hope as a citizens to open doors, and of course, our children can go and study freely and live freely in every European member country.
Thank you very much for this comment. I think we need in this time, by all the challenges we are facing, the perspective of Europe. Because I think, to be very realistic, Europe is only a small part of the world. And so far, I think we as Europeans have to survive. We have to contribute to the other parts of the world, but also we have to develop our own continent in common. Not only looking only to this part or that part and so on, but to a general part. So far, we might come to an end. Many thanks, Pishtar, for your comments and your answers. And I wish you personally all the best, but I wish you North Macedonia for the incoming elections also all the best, that it might be again a good sign for Europe. We need it for sure for our common future. All the best, Pishtar, and hope fully to see you again quite soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you. It was always a pleasure to be in touch with IDM and with you as well. And of course, we are available to work and give our thoughts. Thank you.